Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Oh Shoot. I'm your host, Cassidy Lynne, and we've got another great episode for you guys. Today, I'm actually doing Reddit stories because I was like, why not? I've asked you guys for submissions. I've done so many story episodes, but I've never actually, done Reddit stories, which I feel like is completely different. The world of Reddit is crazy and wild. So some of the stories I found are crazy and wild. So buckle in. We've got another super fun episode. I currently am on a cross-country road trip. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I am currently still in the comfort of my office. And that's because I recorded this episode before we left for our road trip. So unfortunately, I cannot give you guys any life updates because they're not going to be current, but I'm sure the things I'm feeling right now on our road trip are, number one, I really wish I could take a shower longer than 5 minutes. Number two, I wish that I didn't feel so crammed in this camper. And number three, I'm sure I'm also quite enjoying some time away from work and being able to travel and be in warm places, because when I'm currently recording this, it just snowed in Michigan. And there's nothing more depressing than when the groundhog comes up, says it's going to be spring. It's like, we're going to have a short winter this year. My hopes get high, and then boom, 4 inches of snow. Okay, so that's what happened to me currently, and my road trip self is probably just so thankful for the warm weather right now. And I just know me. I know that's how I'm feeling. So we've got Reddit stories today. I'm trying to think if there's anything. I most likely am going to drop my photographer era hoodie sometime on the road trip. Whether or not that's already happened is to be determined. But that's one of the pieces of merch that was highly requested by you guys, because I had it in a t-shirt, but I got a lot of requests to make it into like a hoodie / crew neck. So your wish is my command, and that should be launching sometime during the road trip. So keep your eyes out for that. It is truly the comfiest hoodie I have ever dropped. Okay. And I'm picky about the comfiness of my hoodies. When I first started my merch, I will say not the comfiest, not the most quality hoodie. As I've gone on and tried more companies, more samples, done my research, this hoodie specifically is one of my favorites. I did order it probably in a size too big, and it's very oversized on me. Like, it was supposed to be just oversized, but now it's like literally like I look like I'm drowning in it. But I kind of like that vibe sometimes. So it's a very comfy hoodie. Stay tuned for that drop. Okay, I think we're just going to get right into these stories because they're crazy and wild. And I don't know if you guys are ready for them. Get your cup of tea ready. I've got my chai here. And you know what I realized today? No one has ever said that chai doesn't solve your problems. No one's ever said that. And I think there's a reason no one's ever said that, because I think it might solve my problems, honestly. I had a matcha this morning, a chai right now. I'm not usually a 2 drink a day kind of girl, but I will say, like, once every 2 weeks, I'm like, give me 2. Like, I want 2. And this specific chai, I've been using the Trader Joe's spicy chai, like their spicy chai concentrate. But I will say, my favorite chai concentrate of all time is the kilogram tea chai concentrate. It cannot be beat. It is incredible. So cheers. I'm going to have a sip of my little chai, and we're going to get into these stories. You guys like a little chai ASMR? Just kidding. I literally hate. That's one thing about me. I cannot stand like mouth noises, specifically when people eat. Like, it's bad. And I don't love this about myself, okay? I really wish I wasn't like this, but if someone is eating around me and I can hear they're eating with their mouth open. Even if I can hear them chewing if their mouth is closed, I have to plug my ears. Also, like forks on plates is another thing I cannot do. I have to plug my ears. And unfortunately, I love my dad, but he is the worst person to eat with. Like for me, I cannot, like I literally am like, I cannot hear right now. Like I need to plug my ears. I need to close my eyes because it's just so bad for me. So anyway, let's get into these Reddit stories. Okay, first. Oh gosh, I'm so nervous, you guys. There's so many. But also like they're kind of crazy. Some of them aren't though. Like just to let you guys know, I kind of think you guys have crazier stories, not gonna lie. Myself and 2 classmates are going to Alabama to shoot a portrait and conduct an interview. I'm loading lights into my buddy's car at 6 a.m. and I hand the camera to him. I finish loading the car, leave the school, and head over to pick up the other guy about a quarter of a mile away. We get in front of his apartment building, and that's when we hear something slide across the roof and hit the pavement. I stop the car and find out that the sunshade on the Canon 24-70 can absorb quite the impact. The UV filter was shattered, but the camera seemed to be operating, so we decided to keep moving. After getting the broken UV filter out of the way, the ring was bent, so we couldn't unscrew it, but we carefully pulled the glass away from the lens, and everything seemed to be still operational. Big sighs of relief. We get to the location in Alabama, and while the other 2 guys are doing the interview, I start setting up the lights, only to realize I forgot power cords for the packs. Oh boy. I've told you guys this on the podcast before, but I'm gonna bring it up again. Charlie, it was my fault. Okay, it was my fault. But Charlie like had like a cosmetic case and we were shooting a wedding and we like stopped. I had the bride in the car. We like stopped somewhere and then we were like on our way to the first look and we made a turn and Charlie's cosmetic bag just like tumbled and we were like on a highway and I felt so bad. It had like his electric toothbrush in it. He has like really expensive like mustache wax and like other stuff like that, like boy things like cologne, all of that. Like a car ran over his cosmetic bag. Okay. However, the only thing that was damaged, there was like his toothbrush charger, like the outlet plug on it got bent. And then like there was like one other product that like got squeezed out because it like got run over. This story about leaving the camera on top of the car is crazy. And they literally said it in the story that they handed the camera to the friend. So you know what I'm doing? I'm blaming this on the friend. Okay. That friend left the camera on top of your car. Number one, are they a good friend? No. They left the camera on top of the car. Also, though, they did wake up with you at 6 a.m. So I guess they're probably a good friend. It probably was a mistake, but that is so wild. I actually follow a girl. Well, not only do I follow her, I literally know her. And she's a photographer. And she posted like, it was a while ago, but she posted that her camera, she left it on top of her car. I think it was a Canon 60 Mark II and a 35 millimeter, like the Sigma 35 millimeter. She left it on top of her car and drove off and literally broke her camera and her lens. Can you imagine like a $5,000 mistake, like 2 seconds of forgetting your camera's there for $5,000? Like, wowza. Yeah, I will always be checking the top of my car now. Like, yeah, I don't ever really take my camera out of the bag. Like when I'm loading the car, the camera's in the bag. The camera is in the bag, in the little pads, all strapped in. Like camera's not going anywhere. But I mean, sometimes I go rogue with my camera. Like I will say, sometimes when I'm like shooting a wedding and, you know, I like leave the venue to go to like bridal portraits or something, I'll have the camera just kind of in my hands when I get into the car. And then like that's when the camera would be free floating in the car. So I could see that being a time that I could potentially leave my camera on top of the car. Okay, let's go to the next one. I was shooting with a model in the streets. I usually carry a big suitcase with all of my gear, so when we were shooting, I just left it next to us. It was nighttime, so there weren't many pedestrians, but I did notice that there were two guys with bicycles wandering around and checking on us all the time. So I told the model to keep an eye on our stuff. At some point, the guys come up next to us and try to steal my suitcase with such bad luck that one of them just fell down from the bike and had to run away, leaving both the suitcase and the bike with me. It could have been a total disaster, but luckily I just got a free bike out of it. Okay, so my first thought, number one, this thief, this is not a trained thief. This is not a certified thief, okay? This thief is a thief for dummies, because how are you going to carry a suitcase while you're riding a bike? Please tell me. What was the plan? What was the game plan? This actually reminds me of something that happened to me probably a month ago at this point, but we installed a Ring camera at our house because we were just like, we want to see what happens on our porch. Like, you know, we get a lot of packages delivered. So I was like, let's just get a Ring camera. So we get a Ring camera installed, and sure enough, it was like right before Christmas, I think 2 days before Christmas, I get a notification that there's a person at my door. Well, anytime I get this notification, I always click on it. Like, I'm always, even if it's just the mail guy, even if it's just like Amazon, I just click on it because it's like, there's a person on my property. I want to see who it is, right? So I click on it, and I'm driving, right, when I see this, and this lady in high heel, like stiletto pumps, okay, walks up my porch, looks around, okay, looks around for packages. There weren't any, but she looks around. She does a little like leg stretch thing. She like puts her leg in the air off to the side, and then she like casually walks off my porch, okay? When I see this video, the first thing I think, what was your plan if you had found a package and I like chased you off the porch? What was your plan? Like, you're in stilettos. You're not going anywhere. Like, you're a thief, but you're dressed like something's not adding up here. Like, you have to be prepared to steal. If you're going to steal, be prepared to steal. So literally the same story, like, gives me the same vibe. You're stealing a suitcase. How are you going to take it? You're on a bike. Like, come on. Like, maybe just don't steal it then. I do want to say these Reddit stories that I pulled were from like, some of them were from over 10 years ago and some of them were from like last year. So some of them are a little like the info, like there's one where it's like, why didn't you just call an Uber? Well, they didn't have Uber like 10 years ago. So keep that in mind with some of these stories. They're not all like completely current, but they are still very crazy. Okay, let's go to this next one. Also, let me just say, I don't think carrying around a suitcase while you shoot is like the best idea. I don't. Unless you're like, you absolutely need the suitcase, like you're setting up a bunch of lights or something. I don't think the suitcase is the vibe. Okay. Hi guys, it's Cassidy, and I'm going to show you the fastest way to edit your photos. I like to use AI in my workflow to speed up my editing and culling process, and that's why I use Aftershoot. Let me show you how I do it. So first, I'm going to go into Aftershoot and I'm going to create a new album. Then I'm going to choose the raw JPEG option and I'm going to locate my raws. You'll notice that in Aftershoot, I can very easily switch between the cull and edit tab, and it just makes for an overall seamless experience. Now I'm going to switch to the cull tab, and I'm going to have Aftershoot cull my photos with AI automated culling. And once I hit the cull button, Aftershoot's actually going to give me the option between AI automated culling and AI assisted culling. Today, I'm going to use the AI automated culling. Then Aftershoot's going to ask me what type of shoot this is. I'm going to say that it is an engagement shoot. And I actually want to be super selective with this specific gallery. So I'm going to have Aftershoot only select a few amount of photos for me. And then I'm going to hit the start culling button, and Aftershoot is going to work its magic. What I love about Aftershoot is they have a marketplace where they have over 30 pre-built profiles for you to choose from. You can go in and preview any pre-built style in the marketplace, and you can use the little sliders to see before and afters on
different photos and what it would look like. I'm just gonna go in quickly and review all the photos and make sure that I like all the ones that it's selected. And now that I've reviewed all the photos, I'm gonna export these 92 photos. Now I'm gonna switch over to the Edit tab in Aftershoot, and I'm going to work on getting my photos edited using Aftershoot's AI-assisted editing. I do want to note that I made my own Matcha Glow profile under the AI profile options within Aftershoot. So this is my own personal AI profile that I prefer to use for my editing style. So that is what I'm going to choose when I'm doing the editing portion of this video. It's super easy to make your own customized AI profile in Aftershoot, or like I said earlier, you can always head on over to the marketplace and check out the options there. So I'm gonna select the Matcha Glow profile. What I love about Aftershoot is they just added this new crop feature, and they allow you to crop super customized. So you can actually choose to crop loose or aggressive. And I'm gonna choose aggressive in this case. And you can also choose a custom ratio if you have a specific cropping ratio that you prefer. I'm going to leave mine as default. Now I'm gonna let Aftershoot edit the culled images, and I'm gonna hit edit photos. Now I'm gonna let Aftershoot edit my photos for me, and I can take a break and come back to see if my photos are ready. Another thing that I love about Aftershoot is they have 24/7 online support. If you ever feel like you need help with something, you have a technical issue, you can hop right onto the Aftershoot app, go to their online support section, and get help there. The best part about Aftershoot is it takes minutes. It hardly takes any time for all of my photos to get edited. I think in total for these 92 photos that I edited with Aftershoot, it took a total of maybe 2 minutes to cull and edit my photos. And now I can go in Aftershoot and just review all the different edits that it made to all of my images. I exported my photos from Aftershoot right into Lightroom Classic, and I can just go in and review my edits here. Honestly, Aftershoot did a great job editing all my photos. They're exactly how I would have edited them, so I'm super happy with how this gallery turned out. Aftershoot allows you to seamlessly edit your raw photos right within Aftershoot. This allows you to expand your editing capabilities beyond Lightroom catalogs or Capture One sessions. Now you can export edited images to Bridge, Photoshop, and Lightroom Cloud. What I love about this is it makes the process so seamless going between Aftershoot and your editing platform. All the more reason to check out Aftershoot and try it today. Aftershoot is seriously a game changer when it comes to editing and culling your photos. If you want to take your editing time from hours to minutes, try Aftershoot for yourself at the link in the description. Aftershoot is also offering a free 30-day trial for all OhShoot listeners. So guys, make sure to check out the link in the description of this episode. I promise you, Aftershoot is going to change your editing game. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get back to the show.
So this is not my story, but I heard the story from a driver while taking a Lyft. He said that one of his previous jobs, he had been a photographer until he had an experience that caused him to put down the camera, and he hasn't really picked it up once again since. He was shooting a wedding and had the couple off to the side doing some different portrait poses. He thought he managed to get one really good shot with a nice smile from the bride, but worried that she might have blinked. This was before digital cameras, so he couldn't just check the photo and verify. He asked them to go back to that pose again so he could just make sure he got it in the camera because it was going to be a really good shot. All of a sudden, the groom lost it. He just started yelling at the bride, complaining that she never did anything right and was always wasting his time, and that it was because of her that he wasn't able to be hanging out with his buddies right now. So I say, wow, that's a pretty tough situation. I can imagine why you might not want to shoot weddings after something like that. But the driver's story continues. He says, "I'm not finished yet. I'm not a violent man," he says. And I start to get worried because that's not an encouraging beginning to any sentence. But right then, I set my camera down and put that guy against the wall. I had him by the throat and told him that if he ever hurt her, I would put him down. And since then, I haven't been a photographer. Well, I did not ask I didn't ask any more probing questions on that topic. He sure seemed like a nice guy, but he did have one doozy of a photography horror story. You guys. I love how the story is coming from like the context of this guy's my Lyft driver, because it really just makes you feel like, I feel like all Lyft and Uber drivers have lived so many past lives. Like, I feel like they've experienced so many things in their lifetime. Like, they've literally been, they're on the streets. They meet new people. Like, literally, these people have stories to tell. Okay. I love that. That's the context of this story. I am terrified. Okay. I have never been in an instance while I'm shooting where I have been so mad at what's happening that I've felt the need to physically intervene. Maybe it's just me, but I've never really felt like I've needed to physically do something about a problem. Not even like in a way that would be like a good thing. Like if, I don't know, like if a child was falling or something and I could like catch a child, I don't know. I've never even done something like that. Like never has my job caused me to like physically interact like that. And I am just shocked. But I will say, like, good for this photographer to be like, I don't ever want to shoot again because I don't like the reaction that this got out of me. Maybe that photographer has been like previously traumatized and like that was just an emotionally invoking moment. I have no idea. But that's terrified. Also, if I was like the couple, like let's say if I was the bride, I would be, number one, I'd be annoyed at my husband. Like I would be like, what's the big deal? Like, why can't you just retake this pose? Like, why can't we just redo the photo? So like, number one, I'd be annoyed. Number two, I would be terrified of this photographer. Like, I'm terrified. I have no words. I'm scared. I'm terrified. Goodbye. No, thank you. I don't like that. Okay. I was flying to Jamaica out of JFK back in February. My wife and I get to the hotel at 1 a.m. and we have to be at JFK to fly out by 5 a.m. In all caps, they say, do not travel tired. Anyway, we take the train from the parking area to JFK. We miss our check-in for the first flight by 5 minutes, but we get rescheduled for takeoff a couple hours later. We're killing time walking around JFK and then proceed to security to get on our rescheduled flight. As I'm unloading my bag for TSA, I realize my camera isn't in there. I'm freaking out. I call the hotel to have them check the room. Nothing. So we hop on a train back to the parking area about 15 minutes, but it felt like it was hours away. And fortunately enough, my camera was in my car, sitting right on the seat in JFK's parking area. Super safe, right? Had we not missed the first flight, I would have flown all the way to Jamaica on a trip that we had dreamed of without my camera. Side note, I somehow managed to kill my car battery while in Jamaica. So we got back at 2 a.m. to a dead car and my wife got the flu while we were in JFK and it didn't hit until we got back. Wow. Okay. That last part was a little bit like, okay, but whatever. So traveling with your camera gear, you have to be so aware of every little piece of gear that you have, not just like your camera. You need to be aware of your hard drives. For me, I had this moment when we went to Mexico in October and we flew there. It was like, I think we were there for 4 days. And then coming back, I think I only brought one of my hard drives. One of my hard drives with me. I have two, like one is like a backup. And I had this moment where I was like looking through my camera bag and I could not find my hard drive. I was like, we were literally in the airport because I was like going to go edit some of the previews. I was like, where is my hard drive? And the problem was I had been a little irresponsible and I didn't back up some of my work from like previous shoots that I had on that main hard drive. And so my backup at home didn't have all my work on it. Like that main hard drive still needed to be like updated, which is my fatal flaw, to be honest. Like I need to like work on making sure my hard drives are carbon copies of each other. But regardless, I searched in my bag for so long for this hard drive, could not find it. I was like, we left it. I'm screwed, whatever. it ended up being in like the laptop sleeve of my backpack. I don't know why I put it in there. I've literally never put it in there a day in my life, but like it was there, and praise God, because who knows what I would have done without that hard drive being there. When you're tired and you're traveling, like you forget so much. So it is so important to just double check. Even like, I bet this person thought to themselves, like, didn't even think twice about getting out of the parked car, getting out of that area, going on the train, going to the airport. They didn't think that would be the time that they would lose their camera. But it's in the moments that you feel so comfortable and so like not worried about it that losing your camera or like losing a piece of gear or like forgetting something, that's when it happens. Like when you're too comfortable, that's when you forget to double check and forget to triple check and back things up and whatever. Wild. Cannot imagine. I'm so glad though that this person like went and got their camera and like it was fine. It's crazy. Okay, I think I need a little chai break. You guys, do you need a chai break? Take a little sip of your drink if you're listening to this, editing. If you got a little drink by you, take a little drink. Should I start doing that? Little breaks for my little sips or no? I don't know. I feel like sometimes because I don't like mouth noises, hearing myself sip, like when I listen to this back, I'm probably going to die. Okay, this is a short one. After driving for an hour to a remote location for a time-sensitive shoot and setting up my camera, I discovered that my camera had turned itself on and drained the batteries. Okay, so I don't know what camera you have, but my camera doesn't just turn itself on. I like respectfully, this is a person from Reddit, so like they probably like don't even listen to this podcast. Your camera doesn't just turn itself on. Now, what it does do is if you like if that little on and off switch somehow gets like rotated in the bag, like in your camera bag, then I guess it does turn itself on. But like, interesting. I have had times where I've forgotten to turn my camera off. So like I get home from a shoot and like at the shoot, I just threw my camera in my bag afterwards and didn't think twice about it. And my camera was still on. Now I will tell you, I don't rely on like the same battery for multiple shoots. So like that didn't really affect anything, but there's been times where I've like pulled my camera out after like it being in my bag for a couple days and it's still on. I'm like, okay, so I've got an issue here. Like I need to hit the off switch. Okay. So just don't forget, hit the off switch. If you find yourself, your camera just like randomly turns itself on, two things. Number one, maybe put your camera in your camera bag a different way. So like whatever way you put it in your camera bag, there must be something hitting it or like rubbing against it that turns it on. Number two, if your camera does turn on by itself, maybe like get that checked out. Like that's not supposed to happen. So like check that out. Okay. Just make sure everything's okay. Make sure your camera's not haunted. Make sure you don't have some toxic ex who is just like trying to slowly see your downfall and preying on your downfall, but they want it to be a really slow, progressive thing where you slowly give up photography because you keep forgetting to turn off your camera or something like that. I don't know. That's wild. Okay, next one. I was shooting in a nature reserve under a natural tree arch with a model. And as I was taking the shots, I had her lean back. And about that time, a snake fell out of the tree branches and onto her. She took off running. I found one of her high heels, not the shoe, just the heel, about 1/4 of a mile of the way back to the cars. And by the time I made it to the front gate, she was already gone. But the thought of the sight of someone in a full prom getup in a formal dress running at full speed was quite a funny thing to think about. Oh my gosh. I love how they found just like the heel on the way back. Like, it's just like you're like, I don't care if I get I don't care if my heel breaks. I don't care what happens. I need to get out of the way of the snake. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. I always try to like picture myself in these scenarios. Like I always try to think, what would I do if I was the photographer? I 100% would try to find that girl like this person did, run after them, make sure they're okay. But part of me wonders if I also would run back to the car. Like part of me wonders if I would be the girl in the prom dress. Like just, I am out of there. Like call me for a reschedule tomorrow. I need at least 1 to 2 business days to process and forget about the fact that a snake just fell on me at a park. That is crazy. And you know what? This sounds stupid, but like that's why in your contract you have to put like random incidental stuff like this, because you just never know like what's going to happen, and this person could go and somehow like create a case against you. I don't know exactly what that case would be. Maybe like emotional damage or something like that. I don't know, but like you got to make sure that stuff's in your contract. Like anything that happens while you're shooting, like that's not on you. Like it's not your fault that a snake fell out of a tree. You don't control wildlife. You don't control animals. Yeah, you're not Mother Nature. Okay. A few years ago, I was shooting hockey NHL, and I was going through my photos and locking them for photo mechanics since the play was on the other end of the ice. All of a sudden, I heard a loud bang and the crowd going, "Oh," and felt something hit my face. I look up immediately and see a puck fluttering in the air. I put my finger up to where I got hit, saw blood, and I was like, WTF, am I bleeding? And the people in the crowd were going, "Oh yeah, you're bleeding. It's flowing really bad." I only had to get a couple of Band-Aids and I returned for the third period. Okay, so first thing, they are locking their photos in Photo Mechanic while they're shooting. I guess I've never shot an NFL or NHL game before. So if you're a sports photographer out there and this is your expertise, let me know. But like, why are you putting your photos in Photo Mechanic before you finish shooting? Like, why don't you just keep shooting and then do it all at once? Unless like you have to get photos like uploaded during the game or something. But like, I don't know. That just seems kind of crazy. And then also like, okay, how are you getting the photos onto Photo Mechanic? Are you tethering them through a cable? Because if you are, how are you going to move around with your camera? Like, I guess maybe you have a tripod set up and you're just like getting shots, whatever you can get, just standing in one place. Maybe. I don't know. I have a lot of questions about that. It's a little unclear. Okay. So if anyone knows the answer to that, but literally this person got hit in the face with a puck. And I would just like to say that this feels very similar to my experience with my drone trauma, my drone saga. I don't know if you guys remember from the summer, but I had like a bunch of instances with drones back to back, and it ended with literally a videographer getting sliced right in his eye with like the blade of a drone, not like on his actual eyeball, but his entire eye socket, and him just bleeding profusely during the first look. Like this is giving the same thing. And I don't know what it is, but like I am a little triggered by the story. Like I am feeling weird and feeling this, like the same thing I felt when this thing happened with the drone, like literally on the face, like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And like, I feel like it just goes to show like photographers, I feel like get so lost in the moment, almost to a fault, like to a point where it's like, you have a puck flying at your face and you can't even see because your eye is glued to the freaking lens, to the viewfinder. Like I've done it where I've like had my eyes so sat in the viewfinder and I'm just like looking at what I'm shooting that I don't even notice like something that's happening right next to me because I'm shooting like the other direction or something. So guys, be careful, like really look around you. Last year I was photographing a bridge just north of Minneapolis. I was doing a long exposure, and about 5 seconds into it, a kid crawled down from the stairs next to me. He did what kids do best and started pissing in the river, marking his territory. He left a silhouette of a 5-year-old pissing into the Mississippi River on my final image. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, can you picture the type of photo that this person's describing? Like those long exposure, like street photography, like landscape photography photos where it's like all the lights from the city, like the lights from the cars on the bridge. And then like this kid is just like in it, because if it's a long exposure and the kid was standing there for a minute, like you definitely got that in the photo. Oh boy, that's so funny. I almost would like, I don't know. I I'm like, this is just such a funny moment. I would literally go to the parents and be like, yo, I got this photo of your kid, like literally a silhouette of them peeing. Like, this is so funny. Like, you should keep this and show it to them when they're like a teenager or like when they're an adult. I feel like if I did that as a child, I would want someone to like be able to show me that photo and be like, yeah, that was you. Yeah, you did that. But also like, I feel like that also borders on like weird a little bit. So I'm like, maybe not. In Australia, I was shooting at a location without an assistant. When we get ready to leave, the photo editor and the producer help me put the gear in the trunk of the rental car. We get to the second location and I start unpacking. No camera bag. I just get in the car with the producer and drive 30 minutes back to the first location. The bag was still there on the ground. Okay, there's another story tied to this, but that is so crazy. I cannot imagine leaving my bag, just leaving it and then going. But I literally feel like you're so focused on like, let's get all of our stuff in the car. Let's get everyone in the car. That's like, you forget the one most important thing, which is literally your camera bag. That's hilarious. Different shoe also in Australia. We come back to the hotel after dinner. $20,000 worth of equipment was gone out of my hotel room. I got looted. Camera, lights, passport, everything. I had to rent equipment from a spot 2 hours away. After the shoot wrapped up, I had to fly to Sydney to get a replacement passport. Hands down, the worst feeling ever. I'm pretty sure the maid service tipped off the thieves. Oh boy. Okay, so this confirms a fear that I have. So thank you to this person who wrote this Reddit story, because they had no idea they were fueling my fear. I know for a fact my gear is not safe in my car. It's just a known fact. Like, I've heard so many stories. People get their stuff stolen out of their car all the time. Hotel rooms, that's where I'm like, isn't that where your gear is supposed to be safe? But also you're in a hotel, like other people have keys. I mean, they have those like safes in the hotels, but you can't keep, they're small. You can't keep like 4 lenses in there. Like, you basically got to pick and choose what's the most important thing to you. The passport thing, that would have pissed me off. Like, I got to go get a new passport. I'm stuck in this other country. Like, This is my worst nightmare. $20,000 worth of equipment. That's wild. That's why we have insurance, guys. Okay. If you don't have insurance on your gear, this is your sign. Go get it. Literally, you can get it from State Farm or something like that. Progressive. I don't have a discount code for you guys, but I really wish I did. I've spent 1.5 years taking bad pictures because I was certain my autofocus motor was broken. I can't manually focus well at all. I bought another lens to make sure it wasn't the lens, and it wasn't. I have a fancy camera in my cart. Just searched the internet to make sure nothing was found wrong with the camera and there wasn't anything wrong with it. I just went into the shooting options and I realized that the reason it's not working is because it's been in manual focus mode for who knows how long, and I'm an idiot. This is a core feeling for me, like a core memory, because I have shot in manual focus without realizing I was in manual focus. And once you do it once, you never do it again. For some, it's an easier realization than others. Like on most of my lenses, there's a little AF and an MF slider. So autofocus, manual focus, and you just make sure it's in autofocus. But there is also a focusing mode on my camera. There's AFC or AFS. AFC is autofocus continuous. AFS is autofocus single shot. And I did an entire like family session on autofocus single shot, which is not the end of the world, but it is like kind of a big deal because it only focuses on like one single shot. So if I'd have to like do that half press on the shutter every time I'd want to take a photo and actually get it in focus. And I went back to like look at my shots because I had some of the family walking towards me and doing fun stuff like that. And like the first shot was always in focus, but the rest of them were not. So that was another lesson that I learned. And oh boy, that is not fun. And honestly, just your camera being in manual focus the whole time is hilarious. Around 7 years ago, I was doing charity weddings. If a couple absolutely could not afford a photographer, that would produce decent results, and I was satisfied with the proof they presented to us, I would take the wedding date. Long story short, we showed up and things seemed a little bit off. Things were pretty well done up. There was what I thought to be violin music playing over a PA system, but it wasn't. It was an actual violinist. As we walked up to the house, another man pulled up and waved hello. He said, "Who are you?" And I said, "We're the photographers." And he said, "Oh, me too." "Oh, do you know the couple? Are you a family friend or in the family?" The person says, "No. I asked to shoot their wedding on Craigslist." Excellent. We meet the couple. They pulled us aside and explained that they were the real photographers. Ah, I see now. Because the other guy with the pro gear is here for more free pictures, I suppose. I walked around, talked to the vendors. They're all getting paid. Interesting. Kind of says a great deal about how important photography is to them. Anyways, the couple was extremely unwelcoming, cold, and half of the family were flat out a-holes. Hung around a bit, shot around, and left. I'm sure the other photographer had it under control. My brain like really had a hard time comprehending that story at first. I was like, what is happening? Like, what do you mean there's so many photographers? I don't understand what's happening. But then I started to get it. And like, if you didn't catch it, basically this couple asked a bunch of people to just shoot the wedding for free. So like a bunch of people showed up to shoot the wedding literally for free. And they just wanted free photos and they just had a bunch of photographers show up. This is definitely not recommended from a photographer's perspective. Do not do this. I'm just shocked that like, I mean, it's a cool thing to offer, you know, like a charity thing where like, if someone really can't afford it and like they would love wedding photos, that's amazing that if you're able to give that to someone. However, if you're going to take advantage of it, like this person, they ruin it for everyone else. Like this client ruined that like charitable thing that person was doing. That is wild. And to think, and like, no, they paid everyone else but the photographers. Like, cool. No, thank you. Not sure if I would call this a nightmare, but early in my career as a custom printer, I applied for a loan to buy my car. When I met the loan manager, I immediately recognized her from a boudoir shoot that I printed just weeks before. Oh my gosh. You know what they say about imagining your audience in their underwear. Goodbye. No. Okay. First of all, that last line is literally just weird. Like that is so weird. That's hilarious also. Like that's awkward. Like, you know, like sometimes you think, oh, like the photo, like it's a shoot with like a private photographer. Like the photos, no one else is going to see them. But like the printer, the person who was literally printing the photos. Ugh, that's so weird. No, thank you. It's also hilarious at the same time. We lost the bride and groom one time. I was a part of a firm that did both photo and video. Originally, I was with the video guy helping him out. Coming from the ceremony, we had to rush to get to the reception spot, so we mixed up all of our gear with each other, photo and video. We show up at the spot for the reception, film and shoot a little, 15 minutes in, but then the bride and the groom wanted to head to the city to get some fancy evening sunset shots. So they had us for 3 hours, whatever they say, right? Like, we're going to go shoot it. We split up again. I'm driving with the photographer. We get caught in traffic. So we tell the newlyweds we'll meet them at the same spot they shot at the engagement pictures. And the photo guy that was there did the engagement photos. The only problem is the photographer that did the engagement photos forgot the address and he lost the bride's contact info somehow. Literally have no idea how. No problem. We'll call the video guys. They have all the info. The video guys didn't have all the info. The phone, not a smartphone, with the client information, not in any emails or anything, was dropped in the water earlier that night. And the other video guy's phone was dead. No charger, died as he was talking. Long story short, we couldn't find the bride and groom and had no way of contacting them or finding where they were. We just went home. Okay, this confirms fear number 2 of mine, which is my phone dying and losing all contact info and not being able to get in contact with my couple and losing them and then not knowing where to go and being like, what do I do? I'm hired and I have no idea how to meet up with my people. Fear number 2. Thank you. Confirmed. I am terrified. I'm doing this wedding for a couple in San Diego. The bride wanted a post-ceremony shoot in Balboa Park before the reception, which was downtown at the Hard Rock Hotel. Everything was going really well so far. The ceremony and the shoot at Balboa Park were really smooth, good photos, and we were meshing really well with everyone. Time to go meet them at the hotel. Walking back to my car, I pull out my keys and the car key is missing. I think back and realize I have a new carabiner and I have been fiddling with it in my pocket all day. My car key must have dropped off of my keychain somewhere in the park. So we scramble around, retracing our steps, looking for the key. This is a really, really big park and we went all over the place. We've been looking for about half an hour and the sun is starting to go down. We're supposed to be at the reception really soon. We get a call from the bride asking where we are. We still have time, but she's just worried. Then we go back to the parking lot toward my car and my partner starts breaking down crying. She runs up to this random old guy, explains our story, and begs him to take us downtown to this wedding. Without hesitation, he agrees. We jump in the car with him and he takes us straight there. Holy crap. We get there just as the bride was calling us again because they were a few minutes away from being introduced into the reception. We were there with maybe a minute to spare, but we were able to completely play it off like nothing happened. Okay, fear number 3, losing my car key. This was the thing I was telling you guys where if it were today that this happened, it would be like, okay, just get an Uber, find your car key later. Problem solved, right? But like back in the day, back in the Stone Ages, when they didn't have Uber, what did you do? You asked random men in the park to drive you places. That's what you did. It's just literally so wild to think how much technology has changed things. And like, there have been so many times where I'm like, I feel like my phone could just solve this problem. Like, lost my car key, no problem. I'll just get an Uber. Lost my wallet, no problem. I'll just pay with Apple Pay. You know, like my phone really has opened up so many, like solved so many problems. Like, oh, can't get in contact with my sister. That's okay. I have her location. You know, it's like, my phone is the solution to so many problems. And this person just, they didn't get to experience that. This just also like, I always think about like losing my car key during a shoot because it's like, what do you do? And like, then if you're like going to multiple places too, like, what are you going to, you're going to Uber from place to place to place, you wait 10 minutes for the Uber to come get you. Like, oh boy. Yep. That's why it's fear number 3 for me. I flew into Nairobi with my fairly new 7D and kit lens. Leaving the airport, I realized it was still on the plane. I ran back through the airport, past everyone, got to the gate where I got stopped. They said they'd check for me. One guy came back, and he said, "I'm sorry, it's not there." I could tell he was pretty apathetic, and they weren't letting me go. So I asked someone else to check again. It was there after all. So a happy ending, but I'm a recent grad, and I'd sunk almost all of my spare money into this thing, relying on using it to make that money back. So I had a bit of a heart attack, as you can imagine. Yeah, no, what do you mean when you say you left your camera on the plane? How did you leave your camera on the plane? Like, I'm picturing you taking your camera out mid-flight, playing around with it a little bit, and then putting it in like the backseat pocket and just leaving it. Like, how do you just leave it? How does that happen? My brain doesn't think like that. I will tell you, not to just make this about me, but like, there was a time, I think it was the last flight I took, maybe, don't remember where I was going, but I like had a leather jacket, and I took it off mid-flight and put it in like the overhead bin. And then when I went to leave, Charlie grabbed my suitcase for me, and I didn't see that like the jacket also was left behind. So then like I get off the plane, and immediately I was like, I didn't grab my jacket, and I turned to go back, and literally you'd think that I had like just tried to commit a crime, like a crazy crime or something, by turning around and trying to go back on that plane, because I do understand it is a crime. Like I do get that. But like, it was literally like people stop me, grab me, yell at me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. I just forgot my jacket. Can you go get my jacket? Like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. So don't leave your stuff on planes, because then someone's going to go back and get it, and they won't let you back on. This episode kind of stressed me out. Not gonna lie. Like, I have a lot of new fears instilled in me. So that's great. Love that. I'm gonna go figure out how I'm not gonna forget my camera on a plane, or have my stuff stolen out of my hotel room, or forget my key in a park while I'm shooting. That's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you liked these fun Reddit stories. If you want to see more Reddit episodes, let me know. There are some really crazy, weird stories out there, so maybe we could get a little niche with it. Who knows? But if you don't already follow the Oh Shoot podcast, it is at Oh Shoot podcast on Instagram. I do have a few tickets left to the Oh Shoot pop-up party, so if you want to come to Grand Rapids, it is April 18th. It's going to be so much fun, so go check that out, and I will see you guys next Monday for another episode. Okay, bye.